Hey, yo, it's your favorite Sadie Baddie, DaVinci, here with Steve tonight, and we have an amazing topic for you. I cannot wait to get into it because it's something that I've been wanting to talk about for a hot minute. So, the topic tonight is critiquing Black people without being anti Black. Um, what do you think, Steve?
This is a great topic. When you sent it to me, I sent out "Let's do it" in all caps.
It's a great topic, and like I've been wanting to get into it. I've been trying to get into it because there's a lot of people who can't separate the two, or a lot of people who can't understand that multiple things can be true at one time, without being anti-Black, you know.
Yeah, no. So I agree with that. For sure. I just want to see what motivated you to want to talk about this. I want to get a little backstory. Like, what were you seeing? What are you hearing?
So obviously, yesterday and like this past week, I have been completely devastated with some of the news coming out of the Supreme Court, and there was a lot of posting of the Supreme Court justices' addresses and their coordinates, their numbers, and everything like that. But in particular, there's one Black Supreme Court justice, and don't get me wrong, I'm very upset with him, and I know that we disagree on the topic about what, but like I'm upset with him for a lot of reasons this week, and a lot of the rhetoric that I continue to hear is very anti-Black, and you can disagree with this man. Fundamentally, you can disagree with this man. I disagree with this man, and I'm not very happy with him, but it's not going to cause me to invalidate his Blackness or to be anti-Black in an effort to show how upset I am about his choices and decisions.
No, you know what? Shout out to you. Shout out to you for just saying that, because I know this has been a hard week for you. Right?
Extra hard.
And that's not what we're talking about tonight. But I just want to continually give you your flowers. And this is the exact reason why I wanted to do this show with you. Right? Because between us is a mutual respect. I know at this point we're more like disgruntled siblings, but there's love. But I've always respected the fact that no matter what, even in disagreeing with someone, the way you maneuver in your worldview and your political ideologies are that you won't allow one wrong. But you shout out to you for just for what you said. Just for what you said. So, what have you been hearing? What have you been hearing? Give me some examples.
So I was on Twitter, as I normally am, just because it's like the only form of social media that I have besides TikTok, right?
Right.
And like I was just hearing a lot of like anti-Black rhetoric, like he forgot where he came from, like, he take away his Black card and and a lot of stuff talking about eugenics and how he got on the train for like a payday and everything like that, and just a lot of shit. Like the memes that came out of this alone were like a little bit disgusting. They were a little bit hard to look at, and like, I feel really bad critiquing him because like I can't imagine the situation that he's in, but maybe hit dogs holler, and I've been hit, bro. I've been hit, so I'm hollering.
Well, how have you been hit? Like, what are these psychopaths saying on Twitter? Because that place is a cesspool. It is, but I love it. I hang out there. I'm there.
There was a lot of talk about the decision to, and I don't think that this was the Supreme Court. I'd have to double check just to be sure, because there's a lot of news coming out, and sometimes you just gotta check out if people expect me to still go to work on Monday. Right. But it was talking about the no Miranda rights, and like going after Brown versus the Board of Education and various other bills and everything like that. And there was a lot going on. Like people were calling him a nigga with a hard R, like white people
right.
on fucking Twitter.
Right.
And I really wasn't down with it because some people were so angry with him. They were allowing white people to get away with calling him the N-word with a hard R. And never have I ever, like, I really don't care how angry you are. Like, it's just not okay.
Yeah, I can speak to that. So one of my first lives I ever did was on Facebook, and man, I was sitting in front of a Grace Community Church, and Candace Owens had done something. She wasn't where she's at now socially, and economically, but she was starting to climb the ladder. And she said something, and I threw it up on Facebook, and I was like, yo, let's talk about what she's saying. Is she wrong? Is she right? Let's dissect it. And this Caucasian gentleman who is in the political field in New York, I don't know him that well. We run in the same circles, but we're friends on Facebook. You know how that goes. And he commented on the post. And he was like, no, she's an Uncle Tom. And I was like, yo, slow your roll, my man. I'm like, yo, do you know what you just said? Like, and look, you have the right to say whatever you want. Also, you have the right to deal with your consequences too, because not everyone's going to take that. You know what I'm saying? But it just blew my mind that he came out of his face and said something like that. And that's why I think, no matter what you think about Clarence Thomas, man, can you critique black people without being anti-black? And see, I thought we were going in an entirely different direction. I'm gonna be honest with you, my sister. I thought we were going to talk about black people critiquing other black people and how you can do that without sounding like some type of race baiting traitor. You know what I mean? And I use that word traitor very, very carefully, right? Because it's like, what are you betraying actually? But how can you I thought we were going to be discussing how can we critique each other without pandering to certain political ideologies. But this is an interesting conversation because some people are too loose with their lips in their anger. And I try to make sure that when I'm angry, I don't just start coming at people. I would never, like, say for instance, Ted Cruz. Nobody likes Ted Cruz, right? Everyone hates.
Right.
Ted Cruz is still, no matter what you say, ethnically Hispanic. Would people be okay with me calling Ted Cruz the S word with the hard S just because I don't agree with some of his political maneuvers? Your thoughts?
I want to say that I don't think that they would, but after I saw the shit on I almost said Tinder, Twitter with the hard R situation and multiple people being like, you know what, at this point, I mean, I don't even care anymore because they were so angry at him. I want to say that like people wouldn't allow that, but like after the stuff that I've seen with Clarence Thomas, like I'm not sure anymore, and I don't like that. And definitely Clarence Thomas, he has a lot to critique. Like I was just looking at some of his backstory and some of the egregious things that he's been accused of doing, and very much like I gotta say, like, I want to support Black people moving up in the world and in different positions, but I don't think he was it. Truly, I don't think he was it, especially with like, I'm not sure if it was domestic assault or sexual assault in his past, and how it blew up with the FBI, because the FBI did
it vetted him.
Yeah, they sure did, and they found a girl. I can't remember what her name is, and I'm so sorry. But like she had multiple accusations against him, like in the workplace, and him being persistent about pursuing her, even though she had said no.
Oh, wait, we're not even talking about the accusation. You're talking about in the vetting stage. They found something in the past, just to be clear.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And so, like, to be completely honest, I don't know how he got up in there, but no, I do know how he got up in there, because Joe Biden let him up in there. And like, that is so wild.
Say that part again. Say that part again for the people in the back that can't hear you. Say it with your chest, Vinky.
Joe Biden left him in there. Like, I don't worship politicians. Like, I I have no problem airing out their dirty laundry, and I'm very upset with like Joe too, because like I think people are forgetting that he promised us something.
Right.
He very much promised us something, and I've watched that recording over and over and over and over again just to make sure I heard what I heard. And no matter how many times I listen to it, I'm just like gaslighting myself, like maybe I didn't hear it. And at this point, like I think people are gaslighting us when they tell us to vote, because it really doesn't matter when the people that we vote into office don't even do what they said that they're going to do. But that's a whole nother topic. Let's get back to Mr. Thomas.
Right. Mr. Thomas, if you're scared, like, Mr. Grabby is what I used to call him back in the day. So here's the thing about it, right? Clarence Thomas, yes. In regards to the situation that's going on right now, actually, I need to get some clarity. I noticed people are talking about the Roe v. Wade thing on YouTube and Twitch, but some people are claiming that they've been deplatformed. I don't see how that could be true, so I'm not going to let it bother me. But I see what you're saying, right? I see exactly what you're saying. And in the defense of Clarence Thomas, you can disagree with his decision, but allowing your space to become a place of actual racism doesn't prove your point anymore. And I think there is a way to critique people without descending into making bigoted comments, right? You attack. I've always been a firm believer in attack their ideas. Their ideas are open for complete attack. But when you start getting into like calling them the N-word with the hard R, and then, other black people are just sitting there saying, just letting it go down. This shows a wild inconsistency. And this is one of those things that I really get on a lot of these fake pro-black people about, because I'm like, if you claim to be that, you're taking a moral stance. I don't think people, unless the definition of being pro-black has changed, and a lot of things have changed, when you say that means that you're taking a moral stance, right? And it's not just like I'm pro-black over everything else, but I am about improving the black race. That is what it meant traditionally when I was growing up. But you can't be pro-black if you would allow someone to be reckless like that and come up on your platform and just like start spouting stuff like that. But you just can't be. You can't be at all. Now, go ahead.
Honestly, like I'm a little ashamed, because I know that I have this tendency to like see a black person in office, or I see a black person gain status, and like all the thoughts of all skin folk ain't kin folk like just fly out of my head, and I'm just like, oh, thank God, finally. I'm so relieved. And then like I end up so like confused and disappointed when like they don't stand up for me the way that I thought that they would stand up for me. And I know that's a little bit irrational, because they have no way of knowing what I wanted in the first place. But I feel like they had a general idea.
No, you're right. You're right. Because here's the thing, right? Let's take it back. Let's go back. Let's go back to the spoon days here for a second. All right. Do you remember when Neek and all those other young sisters started that coalition? And I always get I'm scared to say the acronym, DaVinci, so you're gonna have to say it for me, because I said it wrong once. I typed it wrong in my name, and someone pointed out like, "Yo, you got to change that real quick." What do you remember the group I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, so there was like a movement on Spoon where three women of color, three black women. And they decided they wanted to address some of the issues that were coming the way of black streamers on Spoon, according to them. Mm-hmm. And they started this whole coalition, and it was actually really, really cool. It was black women empowerment, I want to say it was. And the thing about it is, you could disagree with what those sisters were doing. I didn't disagree, but I would not be any use to that movement if I went into a live and then someone was roasting them and saying things about them and I didn't say anything. And that just shows that people lack something that, I'm just going to jump out the window here, they lack the strength and courage of their convictions. Do you understand what I'm saying? I think a lot of people will fold when put in a social setting when it's time to actually stand up. And I've been true about my story 100%, but let me put it on the record. There have been times where I've allowed people to to diminish me as a black man. And it has left me with icky, horrible feelings. There are times where I wish I would have stepped up and said something more as a black man. I'm just talking about myself, like in those social settings where people were making black jokes. And I'm just, you laugh uncomfortably. And then I got to a point where I was like, I'm not doing that no more. So I got labeled the angry black man. But I'll take that label. Here's the thing. I'm not going to allow people to say things, black, white, brown, or indifferent, that I think that aren't critiques, but just straight up racism. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Well, I do that for you. Unfortunately, your thing is too many people are terrified for you. So when I show up, if someone I've never been to a stream where there's been an anti-Da Vinci thing. No one even said, maybe because they know we F with each other, but no one's ever like said anything when I came into their streams about you. So, but I would get you back. I'd be like, yo, put me up on the call, you bitch. Let me up on the call. And I've caught some smoke over you. I've caught some smoke. They're like, yo, how are you a Christian? Blah blah blah. And I'm just like, listen, man. Sometimes you jump out the window for the people you care about. Like, yeah, we don't agree on anything, but she's my sister. I'll punch you in your mouth. You know what I'm saying? I'll do it. I'll attack you. I'll destroy your ideas, but I'm not gonna let no one call you a black bee or anything like that, because that just completely, one, is disrespectful of you, and two, it completely invalidates anything I'm saying. And I think there is a way to critique black people without being racist. But I digress.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that there's a way to critique black people without being racist, just like you said. Like, I think that there are a lot of accurate critiques of Mr. Thomas, and several of them are like because of his choices, because of his decisions in the past before he was he became a part of the Supreme Court. Like, there's a lot of accurate critiques that you can say about him, but like it. And that's another thing too. Like, people take these like constructive criticisms or like these accurate critiques as like you hating the person a lot of the time. I think that I get stuck with that situation because I do a lot of talking about feminism, and right. I talk about a lot of statistics. I bring up a lot of I bring up a lot of documentation in my lives that's hard to refute. Right. And instead of addressing the things that I say, like, people oftentimes want to be like, oh, well, you just hate men and nobody would ever choose you and you're gonna die alone. Like, bitch, okay.
And and that's like a poor stupid man's argument. And but here's the thing. Well, here's what I don't want to do, right? I just want to be completely honest, because some people will probably type in the chat or recap like, well, Steve, you critique black people a lot. And I'm like, no, I don't critique black people with a negative heart. I just know the standard in which black people had raised me, right? But that don't mean I heard a preacher say this once, and I thought it was the most poignant thing. He had been invited to speak at some type of conservative rally or something like that. And he was like, I'm just going to go share the gospel, right? But that's not what they wanted from him. They wanted him to come in and, do a bunch of conservative talking points. And I guess he said, if I have this correct, he was like, I don't coon for nobody. And that is something I want to instill my sons with. You know what the word coon means, correct? It hasn't lost meaning.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the thing, man.
Real quick, I'm going to tell you to get your boy before I get him.
Let's all keep it respectful in the chat. Who am I looking for? Who is it? Oh, okay. Okay. Let's keep.
Because you don't want to smoke with me. Like, I'll pull up. Please.
I mean, listen. Let's do this. Let's just get angry with me, right? Let's jump out the window here, Da Vinci. You and me just get completely 100% real. Have you ever taken issue with the way that I critique behaviors in the community?
Sometimes I think I get a little defensive with the way that you attack issues. Because like I said in the past, like, hit dogs holler. And I think that, like, sometimes your points hit so close to home because they sound like a lot of the points that people who are disgenuine about the argument try to bring forward. Like when we were talking about the Amber Heard Johnny Depp situation, like your talking points, I heard them, and then I was a little defensive because like that those same talking points were coming at me in a conversation about not believing women.
Right.
And so I was just listening, and I really had to take it in stride because like I knew that those conversations they were kind of like dog whistling in those conversations, and I knew that that's not the place that you were coming from. And so like I knew that I was defensive, but for the wrong reasons. And I knew that like I was defensive because like those same talking points came at me in the past, and like I had to really take some time to think about, like, pick apart the points and be like, okay, what part of this did I have issue with? What part of this was me getting hit? You know?
No, absolutely, because I've felt that way many times. I've learned to train myself. Like I've felt that way many times in your lives, where it's like, well, why am I getting revved up right now? Because I've told you this in private and in person, and I'll continue to tell you. Like, you bring up points that are true about men's behaviors, right? And it's like, well, why would I reject that if it's true? I think, and also Manta says he was just joking, so we're all good there. That's another conversation, but I'll tell you this much. I'll tell you this much, right? I think that what happens with and this is why I always try to choose my words carefully with these dog whistle conversations, is yes, there is a portion of the things that I say that if the wrong person hears it, they can use that as a talking point against Black people. I think also what needs to start happening, especially in the world we're living in today, right, is that Black people, we need to express the level of, and you're going to laugh, so I'll just open myself up to the laughter. We need to start expressing an open amount of love towards each other publicly as well. You dig what I'm saying? Like, I think something we should do before this live and Dope Dynamics is just talk about the love that we have for each other, which is why we're so passionate in these conversations, because in real time, and I'm just going to say this, I think that in many ways, those of us that are African Americans or foundational Black Americans, and if you don't know what that term means, if you identify as foundational Black American, you know what it means. But it's essentially Black people who want to move away from the moniker of African because they don't feel any attachment to the continent. That's not me, but I just wanted to acknowledge them.
That's a huge conversation.
It's a very huge conversation, and we need the views, and sometimes I feel like we should talk about that type of stuff, but I don't want to wade into those waters just because we need views. It's just like I want to pregame it, because they'll come after both of us. We say one thing wrong about that group, and they'll be on our heads.
And what?
Say again.
And what?
It's true. You know what? What was I thinking? But I feel like we should express love for each other, right? We should recognize the differences that we have and still be able to say that we love each other, that we appreciate each other. I don't think a lot of people get to look inside Black culture and see in African American culture or Black American culture, whether you be from Haiti or wherever you're in America now, and see that some of these conversations that we have on Dope Dynamics here and on this show as well, like we've been trained to have these conversations in our homes, right? We have these conversations at Thanksgiving. We have them at the barbershop. We have them.
They don't ever they don't ever end well, and maybe that's what discourages people from talking about them, because then you get shunned at the fucking barbershop or the beauty salon or wherever you're going. But like the one issue I have with all of this love, light, and all that kind of stuff is, like, I've said it continually over the past couple of episodes, I don't want to hear about your emotions when I'm already mad. That's not the time for this. Like, the time for talking about this stuff or talking about like your emotions and your feelings and all that kind of stuff like that was when we were on good terms and like when everything was going fine.
Right.
You know? Don't bust out, oh, well, I have feelings too, in the middle of an argument in order to detract attention away from what I'm mad about. Like, that's truly not cool. And that's what happens in a lot of these situations. You don't get together to talk about your emotions until something tragic happens. And I don't like that. I really don't vibe with that at all, because it feels disgenuine.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That's a good point. And that's why I'm saying that, like, in the conversation prior to the disagreement, like, let's just keep it a buck. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you and I have what some people might consider a miraculous relationship. We don't agree on a lot of fucking things, right? But we built up the respect for each other prior. We had some tough conversations, you know, we had to go through some growing pains. I mean, I've never been angry at you, but you know, yeah, I can see how
I've been angry. Like, I'm not even gonna hide it, because like it's really hard to think of somebody as a good person when you disagree with them on a fundamental level. Like, we talked about this in the episode about agreeing to disagree and when it's toxic, and how like I can't disagree with you on like issues of my rights, like, because like while I'm stressed out and about to join the temple of Satan because they offer abortions under religious freedom, you're just like, oh yes, Father God, you have delivered this nation yet again from the grasps of whatever the fuck. And it's hard to think of anybody as a good person when like they can celebrate over something that deeply scares you, like that costs people like their lives. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, like I'll jump out the window and say it, like I have had to like slow my roll a couple of times, because like I recognize that you're a good person. But like I think recently something that I've also realized is that there's a difference between like a good person and a nice person, and that has been the hardest thing for me to, like, you know, organize IRL in real time with like people, you know?
Is that what that acronym means? Ah, damn it. I'm so old. So old. Yeah, but here's the thing. I 100% understand what you're saying, right? Let me give you a case in point, right? You're not going to believe me. You're not, but I promise you it's the truth. I didn't wake up that day celebrating. I actually felt a kind of deepness in my heart. Like, and it's hard for me to explain. There was a kind of a sinkhole in my heart, because I knew so many people, yourself included, that I cared about, have actual feelings for, were not, you were in real pain. You know what I'm saying? It's not something that I want to flaunt or celebrate or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get me wrong. I'm not going to be disingenuous, but for me, there are battle lines, right? We talked about this privately. We had a hard conversation. No, man, I didn't know IRL. I promise you I did. I thought it was like I rolled lilies, and I'm like, well, what you do in your private time is your own business. Please leave me out of it. But for me personally, it's more important to know the battle lines and the appropriate response to the people that I love and I care about, which is, you're still a person that I care about. And no matter what, like I didn't reach out to you because I knew, I was like, let me give it a day or so, right? Let me give it a day and let her do what she has to do from her perspective. And I respect that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I respect that. And but like I've said also, and this is, I don't know why this is so hard for me to get all this stuff out right now.
It's heavy, bro. Like it's heavy and it sits with you, and it's not like it'll go away, because it'll keep coming up.
Right. Like, my worldview allows me to look at things from an advantage point of, obviously, if the Gestapo was coming after you, I'm not super thug nasty where it's like, yo, bring it on, let's do it. I'll do what I got to do. Don't make no mistake about it. But I would get down. And I'd be like, yo, I hope I have the courage, if she's being attacked, to die in that moment, protecting my friend, because my worldview doesn't encompass like injustice in that manner, right? It doesn't, the way I believe doesn't exist in a world where there could be a Handmaid's Tale. You know what I'm saying? And I think they actually addressed that in that show once too, as well. And I gave them props for doing that. Like,
I loved the show, loved Margaret Atwood, but I fucking I hate it the way that I'm just gonna jump out the window. Like white women are dressing up like Offred, which is the handmaid in the Handmaid's Tale, when homegirls like your Aunt Lydia's, your what's fucking Fred's wife's name? Fucking I don't remember. But you're the Aunt Lydia's, you're the you know what, we don't have to go into it, we'll get on to it on another episode, because I get real upset about it, I get nasty about it a little bit.
well, I mean, okay, so and that's the thing. And so if we like shift it back to like critiquing like black people, like even in this situation right now, this is not the first time that I've been in this situation. And I've usually, you know, before converting to Christianity, I was on the other side of the table. You know, and I think that sometimes that helps me in understanding the people I care about, where it's like I know what this feels like right now. You know, I remember after Trayvon Martin died, the people who cared for me, that's where I learned this from, because I took a big L that day. You know what I'm saying? I took a huge L, because I was really I was saying some things on social media, DaVinci. I was saying some things, and you know, I'd heard my mom express stuff growing up about injustice. So I was like, that will never happen again. And yeah, it happened, and I was like, well, I look like a fool. But in regards to critiquing black people and not being anti-black, here are some traits that I want to lay out. You got me fucking emotional up here. Here's some traits I want to lay out as to differentiate between someone that's able to critique something, critique black people, and critique those type of behaviors, versus someone who's anti-black. Someone who's anti-black or anti-Hispanic or anti-anything, where you would use the term race traitor, will always show their true colors. You know why? Because they're vying for the approval of white people. It's different to say that I believe, like Malcolm X critiqued black people. He critiqued the state of the black movement, but he did not want the acceptance of the white man. He wanted to improve his people. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So one way to notice when someone's being anti-black is, who's the audience? Who's this information for? Like, and I know that I'm lining up Candace Owens right now, but the fact of the matter is, who is consuming your content? Right? If you're making content on a day-to-day basis, critiquing the behaviors of black people, critiquing our living situations, et cetera, and your primary audience is white people, and then you have not spoken against them, saying things like calling someone the hard R, then yeah, you are anti-black. You fall into that. Your thoughts?
Yeah, you know, I think that I can agree with that, but I'm taking a second like to digest it, because like I want to make sure like it doesn't just sound right going into my head. Like I want to make sure that I actually agree with it.
No,
I feel like that happens to me a lot. Like something will sound right, but it's just pretty. And then when I break it down, like I'm like, oh, that's ugly. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you're saying.
But I think that I agree with you. I think that I do. Especially, but I want to add like a stipulation. If the prime consumer of your content, for example, like if you're critiquing blackness, is white people who don't like black people,
okay,
that's a stipulation I think I would add, because like sometimes like white people just want to be included in black people business. They want to know what's going on so they don't say something awkward in the workplace, and then your black coworkers are avoiding you for the rest of the time that they're there. I run into a couple of people like that. Like they'll consume my content, but it's only so that they have talking points and things like that. Right. But that's why I wanted to add the stipulation: if the majority of the people consuming your content are people who don't like the people that you're talking about, then you're probably fucking up, bro.
And it's funny because when you say that, you know what I just heard in my head? was when we were discussing relationships and making better choices in relationships, and you said, well, how do you know when a person's not just pretending to be something? And that jumps out, because how do you know if someone's not pretending not to be racist, right? How do you know? And I think it still boils down to looking at their motivations. And here's my issue with a lot of conservatives in America. So the talking point about, black on black crime is one thing. Acknowledging the data and looking at it and really accepting it and being like, okay, there's a problem here. That's one thing. But then my issue becomes where that's your rebuttal to every argument. And then I usually pull those people to the side. We're like, hey, man, do you really care about what's going on in Chicago? Because I can put you in touch with some grassroots organizations out there that are dealing with gang violence within the city. Like, you can donate. I'm not asking you to put boots to the ground or anything like that. But if this is an issue that you actually care about, you should kick in. And if that person responds to, well, I'm not responsible for that, but I just think it's kind of a, an anti your point, then I know where their heart is. And I can't prove it, but if a person isn't willing to get in there and do something about the situation they're using as cannon fodder in their argument, that just means they're just saying it to say it. And I would also venture that, you may not actually be here for a genuine conversation. You might just be here to glean information. And you can tell those type of people. I still believe that you can judge a fruit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I get it. It's just real rough. It's real rough, especially since, like, in the past couple of years, like the pandemic and the past elections have made like a couple of things like abundantly clear for me. Like, it's exposed people that like I thought were my friends, and it was just hurtful to find out that they weren't. And like, I feel like the African American community is going through like a lot of shit right now. And so it's just easier for some people to check out. And though that's not the choice that I've personally decided to do, like, I respect it. Like, I respect it, because like, if diving too deep into these issues, like, don't get me wrong, I disagree. Like, I think that we should all be involved. Like, but if diving too deep into these issues, like, it affects your mental health and everything like that, and that's why you can't participate, because it'll make you dysfunctional or not able to function in your everyday life, and that's why you're taking a back seat. Like, I understand that. Like, I understand it, but simultaneously, like, I don't know how to not be selfish, because I need you. Like, I need you to make this work. If it's just me, then like, I'll end up on a t-shirt, If it's just me, I'll end up on a fucking t-shirt, or nothing is going to change.
It's true. Not the t-shirt though. Are you talking about the type of t-shirt with doves on it with clouds behind you?
Yeah, clouds in the background. I told all my friends, don't you dare put me in some fucking goofy shit like that. You better put some anime characters in the background. If Toji's not in it, I don't want it.
What was that little clouds? Mantis, what was the name of the cloud that Goku rode around on? You want Nimbus? Is that his name? You want that cloud?
Oh my God. No, don't put no Nimbus on my t-shirt, because Dragon Ball Z was trash, and I will continue to say that.
Slow your roll and watch your mouth. Don't you ever disrespect the anime. Well, Dragon Ball Z was trash for one thing. I will say they were trash for this. Mr. Popo. That
and the filler episodes, like, my guy, and like the bland characters with like no character arc. Like, don't get me started. This is not a conversation about anime.
D says, no, how dare you guys? No, it's true, man. But here's the thing though, in regards to critiquing black people, right? And in regards to us critiquing each other, my point has always been flying Nimbus. Thank you. My point has always been that this is something that's happened within the community. Our leaders would do it. Well, one of our leaders would do it, but others would do it in social gatherings. But again, I think you can judge what a person's saying by their intentions and if they have a possible solution. My point regarding this is I will never tear a black person down for sport, right? But I will tear down their rhetoric if it's not useful. I'm always going to go after their ideas. And I think there's a lot of problematic stuff that gets presented, and we think it's just our black conservatives that are putting it out. Like, I always hear people critiquing Thomas Sowell and Candace Owens and Larry Etlers or Elders, whatever his name is. But I don't hear enough people critiquing Beyonce. I don't hear enough people critiquing Jay-Z. I don't hear enough people critiquing hip-hop artists, right?
And that's crazy. I really like, because I don't want to come after Beyonce. Truly, I don't. But like, I feel like sometimes she does this thing where she talks about like the 9-to-5 grind and everything like that. Beyonce has never had a 9-to-5 grind in her fucking life. Like, she cannot relate to you. She cannot relate to your struggles. And just because she makes a weekend bop, like, doesn't make you any more connected to her. Like, and like, I love jamming out to it, but I like sometimes simultaneously while listening to the music, like I realize these things. I think about the fact that she's a billionaire with a B.
Yes. They are out of touch. Yes. Hold on for a second, Berlin. Dragon Ball Z is not trash.
No, it is trash, but
you people are gonna burn in hell.
And don't even get me started on Naruto, but like that's another episode.
Naruto is for people with ADHD for sure. Clinically, I can prove it. I'm like, there's a fox. It's got 9 tails. This guy runs with his arms behind his back. I have no idea now. And don't get me started on Sailor Moon, because Sailor Moon is actually never mind. Can't say that on this.
Watch your mouth. Queen Usagi. Well, you know what? I'm not even.
Sailor Moon was 2 steps away from being a hentai.
Oh, okay. Back to the topic.
Okay, so in regards to like and the critique, right? I think this is I literally thought my computer shut off for a second. Sorry. In regards to the critique of the community and like in regards to like Beyonce and all these characters, I think what needs to happen, just from my vantage point, man, is the reason I said we need to express love first, and I'm taking into consideration the things that you and Bex were saying on Dope Dynamics about the healing process. I think the love part, and as cheesy as it sounds, before the argument, whatever the group is, and if it's just between us, if we're just saying like, hey man, everything I'm about to say, I promise you I've worked through in my heart. I'm saying this because I feel it's problematic, but I'm not attacking you and I'm not out to hurt you. We can have a different type of conversation, but we can't invite people into that conversation who just want to bring chaos. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, even as social media, I'm not mad at white people for wanting to participate in the conversation. I'm not mad at Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Asians for wanting to participate in the conversation. I just want to know what your motivation is, right? Like, come to the table, say what you have to say. But if this is just about you airing out some shit you heard on Fox 5, not useful. Stay out. Not needed.
Also,
go ahead.
There's a lot of people when having these conversations who like to like raise hypothetical points, like fucking Easter eggs that would never be a possibility, just for the sake of argument. And they like to play the devil's advocate for things that don't need a devil's advocate. And I think that that's slightly problematic. And there's a difference, I want to say, between playing the devil's advocate with situations that are not even like halfway probable, or like twisting scenarios until you can finally get the other party to say, well, yeah, in that situation you would be right. And then they're like, see,
mm-hmm.
There's a difference.
No, there is an absolute difference. See, you got people talking about yes, Sailor Moon is disgusting. It's immoral, and I just want y'all to know that if you're a Sailor Moon lover, I'll send you a video that fully explains everything. But here's the thing. Now let's talk about some of the people who have publicly critiqued black people that are black. So we talk about it a lot here. Candace Owens critiques mainstream Black culture and the negative things she sees in Black culture. What would you say is your main issue with her?
I think that it's hard to critique her in any way that matters, because from the jump, and I can't prove this, I feel like it's disingenuous.
Okay.
Like, she asks different questions, and I I can't tell you in any intellectual science. Well, I can refute a couple of the things that she says, like with just studies that I've read, but I don't know how to put into words how I feel like it's supposed to be argumentative. How you know when somebody's like throwing shade at you, but it's supposed to be a joke, but you're like, you don't know me that well. Like, why are you coming at me? You don't know me like that.
Right.
Type situation. Like, but you can't say that like, hey, you're throwing shade at me and I don't like it without seeming like the emotional bitch in a situation, or like you're overplaying the situation. Do you know what I'm talking about? I can't. I can refute some of the things that she says. Like, most of it is her opinion, and like you can't refute her opinion because like that's her experience, her thoughts, and she has every right to her own opinion. Doesn't mean I have to listen to it or agree with it, but she has every right to her own opinion.
Right.
But sometimes like I really do feel like she just being throwing shade for no reason. Like, for what, girl?
And you know what? And this is something I've addressed before. I think if and again, she doesn't have to do anything I say, but I think that a lot of people would rally to some of the things she says if she spent time in the community. Now, I know she did do the Blexit tour where they were meeting up with young Black conservatives and stuff like that, but I think if she was like in the community, if she was going places and talking to people on the street and getting mixed up in that type of stuff. And here's the thing about her, a lot of people don't know. So unless I have my data wrong, she's not from the nice part of Connecticut. If you're from the East Coast, we all know about Bridgeport. I think that's where she's from. I got to check it. I'm not sure, but she's from a pretty rough area in Connecticut. So it's not like she came from means or anything like that. But I do think some of the things she says now that she's on the Daily Wire and she was, a contributor, still a contributor on Fox News.
Antagonistic.
Yes.
Purposefully antagonistic.
Like, yeah, she takes the opposite stance because, you can make the argument that maybe financially that's the best place for her to stand. That's why I think these points should transcend political beliefs. It's like, is it something that is really important, But all right. Now, let me ask you this question. Do you think it's wrong when I critique Jada Pinkett?
I have my thoughts about that because I very much think that she does a lot of stuff that's wrong, but I think that maybe I'm hitting, I'm hollering because a lot of the time when people talk about Jada Pinkett, like they like to blame her for things that Will has done, or like they like to throw out how Will. Why can't I talk? I'm having a stroke. Will feels like that has nothing to do with her. Like, at the end of the day, like I think that people forget that they are in their own relationship and there are private conversations that we'll never be privy to. And we may disagree with a lot of stuff that goes on in their relationship, but at the end of the day, they're still together because there's still something there for them.
I won't knock that. They're still married. And you know what? I won't knock Jay-Z and Beyonce because they stayed together. He did her dirty. And she was like, some people doubt the validity of her profession of faith. I don't think she still identifies as a Christian, but she's still married to that man. They are in the Illuminati, her, Will Smith, and Jada. So, when they're not eating babies. Allegedly. I'm sorry.
You're going to get another one of our episodes taken down. Like, all of our episodes are in review. And I'm not going to say it's because of you, but damn it if you didn't take part in it,
Yeah, no, it's just, and I do go ham on Jada, and I will say that sometimes I'm like, man, I take it too far. But I think it's easier for me to attack them because they used to be heroes of mine, because they represented so much of what I hoped to see for so many couples, and now it's just like, oh man, but nobody's perfect. But I'm gonna try to. No, I'm not. I'm lying. I'm not gonna rate any of it on. If it's out there in the public, I'm taking a shot at it. If it's you make some type of moralistic claim, I would have no smoke for Jada. Hear me. If she wasn't presenting herself as this type of healer, and I'm like, heal thine self first, or be in the healing process. Otherwise than that, now, D Love says it's his fault for dealing with her cheating and disrespectful behavior. That's so true. And that's what really gets me, is that I wonder what type of image that he's casting for young black men. Like what
Hold
type
up
of
now, because like I truly don't know if it's true or if it was like a rumor in Hollywood, but it was speculated for a long time that they had an open marriage, so they have an agreement.
So that, yes, that has been speculated, and they all but confirmed that. But in regards to the August Alsina thing, I think that was just kind of like, their open thing. But there were other things. You know what I'm saying? Some people speculate, allegedly, that the reason the Chris Rock thing happened was not only was he taking out his anger, obviously, for, his public capital going down, but also because she might have smashed Chris Rock. And Jada
We'll never know.
Looks like the type of steal a soul. But moving along.
What you mean by that? What does it look like to be the type to steal a soul?
Have you not seen Jason's lyric?
Chill out. Let's get back to the topic. let's get back, because I'm not doing this with you tonight.
You asked the question. Have you seen the movie, yes or no?
Chill out. Back to the topic. I'm not doing this with you tonight, Steve. What did I say?
Go watch Jason's lyric. At any rate, so I do believe that there's a path laid out, but we cannot resist critiquing ourselves, and that's where it has to start first, right? I think that a lot of people who I would actually say are anti-black never critique themselves beyond the point of like, oh, I've had a great awakening. But it's like, yeah, how does your behavior hold up against the scrutiny in which you are holding us all hostage to? And I think that's another way to know if someone is truly anti-black. And also, I just want to jump out the window and say this, man. I don't believe that everyone that has something to say about the black community, and I usually go through this a lot with my brothers and sisters from the continent of Africa, are a racist or a Coonan or Uncle Tommen, or, on that black supremacy shit. It's just sometimes some of this stuff is poignant and it makes me go, okay, I need to take a step back, reanalyze, and move forward. But when you brought up the fact that people are attacking Clarence Thomas and they said he forgot where he came from, I'm like, motherfucker, do you even know where he came from? Do you know anything about this man other than, his horrible behavior, allegedly?
I mean, do we want to give a little background on Mr. Thomas?
I mean, no, Jason's lyric is a movie. It's a movie. See, everyone wants to know. They want to know about the movie.
I'm not doing this with you.
I don't understand. What's the problem? It's a movie. I'm not talking about like some adult content. Was she not
Clarence? Because I'm gonna end up fighting with you about what it means to look like you can steal somebody's soul. Like I know you're joking, but
no, it's a compliment. It's a compliment to her sexual prowess.
Is it a compliment though? Anyway, see, I knew this was gonna happen. You're not gonna rope me in. You're not gonna do it. Clarence Thomas.
Wait. I'm not trying to rope you in. I'm just saying that
you're just trying to rope me in.
I'm just saying young Jada with the high top curly fade.
You couldn't just say that she's pretty.
She stole, she probably ruined some summers back in the day.
Oh my God, if you don't get the fuck out of my face, Clarence Thomas.
Okay, what about the old bastard?
Okay, he was born June 23rd of 1948. And is an American judge who serves as an associate justice of the Supreme Court of the United States. And he was nominated by George H.W. Bush and succeeded Thurgood Marshall, and has served ever since 1991. that nigga been in there a long time, bro. And that's also another thing, like how long these people get to stay. But I'm not even gonna get like that.
Right.
Thomas is the second African American to serve on the court after Marshall since 2018. Thomas has been the longest serving member of the court with a tenure of over 30 years. Like that alone, amazing accomplishment. I get it. Truly, I get it. But going back to his origins, Thomas grew up in a poor community in Savannah, Georgia, and was educated at the College of the Holy Cross, goddamn, and Yale Law. He was appointed an assistant attorney general in Missouri in 1974, and later entered private practice there. He became a legislative assistant to the United States Senator John Danforth in 1979. So homeboy grew up poor. He went like I don't know how he got into, because like usually Christian colleges are private colleges, and he went to the College of the Holy Cross and Yale Law, which is an Ivy League. So like maybe scholarship. Like they said he grew up poor. I don't know.
He's supposed to be exceedingly intelligent. Like he's always been presented or described as extremely stoic, but people say he's brilliant. I think the people in the chat want us to throw out some names of some people are you guys asking who I think is anti-black or whose souls Jada Pinkett has stole? Because I got both those lists on deck.
Fetch me their souls.
Yeah, he's supposed to be a brilliant litigator. I don't know, man. It's just, but do we attack his? Oh, Mantis is asking who's anti-black. So let's throw out some names of some people who are anti-black. Jesse Lee Patterson is anti-black. I said it. If you don't know who Jesse Lee Patterson is, he's that old African American fellow from the deep South, and he talks with a really deep Southern drawl, and he always says that's amazing. But Jesse Lee Patterson is he's a self-hating black man, and though he makes he said some things that I think are on point. He is self-hating black. Anyone that refers to himself as black as the ace of spades or speaks, I can't even describe Jesse without you going to watch him. But I will, and I have a friend who's going to get mad at me about this. I am convinced that Jesse hates being a black man.
Well, you said it. And who can forget? Like, I'm not black, I'm OJ.
Okay. Yes. OJ is 100% anti-black. He was 100% anti-black when he committed that crime. And I have the proof. OJ, and here's a quote, when he was being taken out of his house after the crime, he lives in an area called Brentwood in California. Brentwood is beautiful, man. There's great restaurants over there. But when he was living there, I would get stopped. I would have been stopped multiple times going to Brentwood. But OJ walking out the house with all these people out there, all these black people, all types of people. OJ said, who let all these N-words into Brentwood?
Oh my God. That's secondhand embarrassment. I get second because like those white people are probably looking at him like, who do you think you are?
No, OJ was 100% accepted as one of their own. Like I'm not gonna lie, like he transcended the athlete that was just like, people enjoyed him as an athlete. Like he was a socialite. They loved him in that part of California. They loved him.
But did he really though? Because as soon as he wasn't like the black boy, like they abandoned homeboy. You know what I mean?
Oh,
so was he truly, or was he just the one that they picked at the time? Because I have the same suspicion about Will Smith. Like everybody loved Will Smith until they didn't.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I still think a lot of people rallied to Will Smith's side. I don't think Will Smith is a pick-me. I think that I think a lot of people enjoyed the image of the moralistic, good, fun-loving kid.
That's not what I was saying. Like, I'm not saying that he's a pick-me particularly, but I'm saying that they did pick him. They loved him. and he was their favorite until he wasn't. Like,
Oh,
I
that's
don't
true.
know. I don't know if I feel the same way about Tiger Woods, because like I feel like they love hated him, like they love that boy could play some golf, and until they didn't, you know.
Yeah. I think that another well, this isn't a person, but this is a group, but this is going to hit people at home. I think people selling crack in the neighborhood are anti-black. So I think dope dealers are anti-black. I think that they pose a clear and present danger to black people. I think a lot of rappers are anti-black. I'm not going to say the rapper, some of the rappers I say, because it's just going to start a debate. Meg Stallion. I think their behaviors prove them to be anti-black.
I'm hit and I'm hollering. Okay, that's the hot girl coach. I'm hit and I'm hollering.
I didn't know she was such a tall woman. Apparently, she's an extremely, and that's where she gets named from. Thank you. I didn't know she was tall.
The Stallion.
Why? Steve, why do you always bring her up? Because I have to.
I love her, just like the rest of us, anyway.
But okay, and here's another example, man. I also think Reverend Al Sharpton is anti-black.
Ooh, somebody had to say it.
I think Reverend Al Sharpton is anti-black. I think he is a panderer. I think he plays to our fears. I think he is continuing to get rich off of circuit speaking. I think he's very anti-black. I think his behavior is problematic to black people, and I want to acknowledge what he has done in the past. I'm not jumping out the window like homegirl. He was a part of a great movement. I don't know. I'm not sure I understand what it is he's doing now, but I will say that, yeah, I think a lot of the things he does are anti-black for sure. I also think that if I'm really just gonna jump out the window, man, I think Wendy Williams is anti-black.
Ooh, okay. So that's one of the ones I don't think that I can agree with you with. And like I kind of want to get into why I think some of these people are anti-black, because it's one thing to say it, is another thing to back it up with their own actions and everything like that. So right. Like with OJ, you can probably back it up with some of the things that he said about the community. You just threw out a quote a little bit earlier. With like I think that Kevin Samuels was anti-black because a lot of his rhetoric was rooted in white supremacy. So like for that reason, I know that it sounded.
I lost you for a second. Who did you say was rooted in rhetoric?
Kevin Samuels.
Hold on for a motherfucking second. Hold on. I just want to address something in the chat really quick, and I want Mantis. You cannot exploit black people without being anti-black. Foundationally, it's not possible. If you are race baiting black people into negative behavior, then you are anti-black. And Umar, I'll throw Umar in there. No, actually, I can't throw Umar in there just yet, Berlin. He definitely says a lot of problematic things. He definitely. I'm sorry, my sister. Continue.
I already said Kev, because like a lot of his rhetoric was rooted in white supremacy. Let's see. So I already said OJ. I already said Kevin Samuels. Like the reason that I don't think that Wendy Williams fits into the same category, and maybe you can kind of help me out on this one, is like she never specifically like targets black people. Like anybody who is up for grabs, she's gonna grab them, because that's like her bread and butter.
No, I'm not talking about the gossip stuff. I think Wendy Williams is anti-black in the way that she has represented herself as a black person on the public stage. I think that Wendy Williams has said some things that are problematic, but people can be forgiving of what they've said. I think that some of the things that she has promoted, right? That fat bastard that's the governor over in or used to be the governor over in Jersey, Chris Christie. She came out on stage and endorsed a man who has some horrible policies, right? And I lean conservative. I'm independent, but she endorsed him without looking at his policies. She just liked his bravado.
I don't even think that it was like the bravado that she liked. I think that they might have threw a little shmoney her way. You know what I mean?
That could be very true. And yes, I want to address what Mantis is saying, even though I see the chats dealing with it. Candace Owens, that was a false equivalency, Mantis. Not a great argument because those are two different things. But swing and a miss. Try again, my brother. Because Al Sharpton goes to events to. Okay, fuck it. Let's just do it.
I don't know why you was holding up in the first place. We jumped out the window together. We're following my guy.
Because I want to be consistent. I want to be consistent. Because this is actually something that I've been a part of, and it's like historically when it comes to Reverend Al Sharpton, right, and what he is doing and what he has done and what he continues to do, there is no proof anymore that this is a man that's a part of the legacy that in which he had found his rise. Now at this point, Al Sharpton not only backed a young lady who accused some men of raping her, only for us to find out that she was gone for 3 days, and led an entire borough in anti-white sentiment for a whole summer and took black people down that path of stupidity with them. I'm not going to say her name, but go look it up. Go look it up. He continues to do that. You have a moral responsibility when black people are out burning down their own communities to say, my brothers and sisters, stop. And then as a leader, you have a responsibility to be out there making sure we don't have another Chicago riot situation. He failed that test. I'm sorry.
I'm a little confused. Maybe you can help me out.
Go for it.
Because I'm definitely a protesting girly. Like, I'm a protesting girly. Right. So, like, I think I've stated this multiple times before, but like, you can only do things peacefully in a situation where your opponent cares about peace, right?
So,
and there's a difference between harmless and peaceful. Can we agree on that?
Let me just put it, we can agree on that, but let me just put it to you this way, right? So if you are in fact taking it to the next level and we're talking about revolting, does it serve you in any way, shape, or form to burn down your own resources?
Yeah, because like burning down property seems to be the only thing that they respond to.
But they don't respond to it. They didn't respond to the Chicago riots. They didn't respond to the LA riots. The only people who really were hurt in the LA riots were the Korean business owners and the other people of color or black people in those riots whose businesses were burned down.
No, yes. No, I can agree on that. Like burning down like mom and pop type gigs. Like we want to aim for the corporations, girlies, guys, your Walmarts, your Targets.
Not even the Walmarts or Targets. Fuck it. Get gangster with it. Go to City Hall. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, you're gonna get this taken down. It's gonna be like some insurrection type deal. I'm not trying to end up in big people jail. I still got some things I want to do, Steve. I want to go to Zanzibar.
I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm gonna jump all the way out the window because this is what I call cap. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm starting a new campaign. If you didn't know, Devink, it's called Take Your Cape Off, right? I'm starting a new D and everyone that was in Jovi and Trees Live, we're here for this, but I'm starting a new thing where it's like, stop capping my thing. No one believes you. I got receipts. People know what I've done in the streets. I don't know what you do. I don't know what you're willing to do, but I'll tell you this much. There was no reason to burn down the Native American Center when George Floyd got killed. I could think of 90 places I would have burned down, but the Native American Outreach Center. Can you think of people who don't deserve to have anything burned down besides the Native Americans? Like, yo, our very steps on the ground are an offense to the people who lived here, black, white, brown, whomever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Don't burn their building down. But Al Sharpton with the slick perm didn't say anything about that. He didn't say anything about the brother that got killed, who a black man who had been serving his community for 20 years. This man had mad grandchildren, so many grandchildren, respected in the community, an elder. No one spoke up for that man. Al Sharpton has fallen away from the message. He used to be a great leader. He is not that anymore. He is a political pundit, 100%. I would never put Candace Owens on the same level as him because she has not fallen from that ascent. And if you don't believe me, ask some of the people who marched with him. Listen to some of the people who were civil rights era heroes, what they say about him and friggin' what's this guy's name? Jesse Jackson. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what direction they're going in. And this is what happens when people don't have knowledge about these things.
No, you're right. You're right. And
stop capping, stop caping. Davika, I gotta be real with you. I'm sick of it. I see people jump up on this pro-black thing, and I'm like, what have you done? What have you done for the community? You ain't done shit. You're just a voice on Twitch. You're not doing anything. You're not pumping any money into the communities. You're not out here helping nobody. You ain't trying to save nobody. You're just a dumb. Oh, I almost said the N-word, and no N-word.
Almost got you again.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, you can critique. Yeah, I'm a voice on Twitch, but I've done stuff in the community. I got receipts. I want to see other receipts. I've worked in the community. I've lived amongst my people. I love my people, but I'm not putting my kids through that shit. Bottom line, I'm not raising my kids in the hood. They don't deserve to grow up the way that I grew up. And my mother's an amazing woman. She raised me right. She did. You want to talk about single motherhood and people always get on it? I need to introduce y'all to Mama Hold Up. This woman obviously is not perfect, and she would tell you that herself. But I always grew up knowing one thing. My mama loves me. And she gave me every advantage that I possibly could.
Oh, your mama love you, Steve.
She does. But what I'm saying, the point about this is, and like critiquing black people, here's the next type of motherfucker that I think we're gonna get. A lot of people have asked me, well, who do you think is an Uncle Tom? I'll tell you what a fucking Uncle Tom is. An Uncle Tom is a person that gets around white people and he says shit with those white people that he would never say in front of a black man's face. Like that's, and if that's you, you're an Uncle Tom. If you fucking say shit when you're around other people, around white people, but you ain't got the balls to say it to a black man's face, you was an Uncle Tom and a race baiter. And I got smoke for black dudes like that. I got smoke for them.
So we got lots of smoke. So let's.
I'm gonna take a deep breath.
Yeah, take a puff on that. You already know. Anyways, so I think maybe we should talk about how to critique black people without being anti-black. And maybe that this whole stream of consciousness was like a hot take or something that people aren't ready to hear, because like I'm a firm believer that like people can only meet you as deeply as they've met themselves and all that shit. Right. But maybe we should talk about like how to critique somebody's actions without being anti-black. Like in the situation where I was talking about good homeboy who I'm very mad at right now, Clarence Thomas, like I will critique his treatment of like Anita Hill. I will critique like how he allowed things to get swept under the rug to his advantage, but like, you know, would deceive the people of America that he's essentially serving for. Like I would critique those things, but never in my life would I be like, oh, that fat old crusty bastard. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm never going to attack him on a personal level. I'm never going to, oh, he looked like he had a stroke. Like, I'm never going to go after his health. I'm never going to talk about those things like that. Like if I have a critique of this man, I'm going to talk about like the decisions that he's made, like the actual decisions that he's made. And I think that the same thing should go with everybody else. Like we can talk about the Anita Hill situation. We can unpack that like together if you want to critique that man. But going straight to that old fat crusty bastard with all them white people, forgot where he came from, moved into the big house. Like I'm really not on board with all that.
No, that makes sense. And then the way to examine someone's idea and a poorly thought out worldview is this: you look at them. So I think the biggest part is research. There's enough capital now where you can go back and look at most things and read most. If the person's someone that writes or has written down anything, you can go and see what their legal arguments have been. You can see what their voting practices have been. And if it's just someone who you just want to critique their talk, then just go back and look at their ideas, and you have to immerse yourself in it. But here's the problem with people who critique things without doing research: you sound stupid. Go back and really look at what your opposition's saying. And in regards to Clarence Thomas, to make a proper critique of him, then you got to come at his legal arguments. And you could definitely come at his behavior, but I think you have to come after his legal arguments as well. I think another good way to critique someone's ideas is ask yourself, before I say it out loud, do my own ideas hold up to this level of scrutiny? Your thoughts?
Period. No, yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like. Like that's exactly what it is. Like I really do truly come for all the smoke, because like with the things that I'm talking about, anybody in my very, very small social circle will tell you that like that's the shit that I live for. They might tell you that I'm bad at telling jokes. Don't listen to them on that. I'm hilarious.
Joking there, something. You're funny. Me and Cincy. Actually, you said some shit the other night that had me, Cincy, and Bex fucking dying, and it was in the private chat. I'll remind you of what the fuck you said. I was like, oh shit, she just said that shit. Go ahead. I'm sorry for a second.
Was it the hey pussy paw slay queen, or what was it? Was it that?
That shit's funny. No, you trust me. You don't want me saying this on air. I'll tell you. You don't want me saying it on air. Since he already is probably laughing because when you said it, it was like, Emperor Palpatine was just like, yes, Derinky, let the hate flow off your tongue.
Oh no.
I don't know if you were in your cup, but it was pretty good.
No, I think I was drinking at the end of last episode.
Let me ask you this question. Okay, wait, continue. You were saying something. No,
I wasn't. Now I'm thinking about what I said.
I promise I will tell you directly after this, man. I just here's my thing, man. If your own ideas don't hold up to your level of scrutiny, and then you don't have much of an argument at all. But I think also critiquing behaviors, critiquing the fundamental nature of the behavior of a person, that's up for grabs, as long as you're able to do it in a mature way. And also, this is where the express love thing comes in. I think you need, before you can get into a real proper critique, you have to be able to look at your own shortcomings as well, and make sure you're not guilty of the things you're about to damn someone else of, which is, what makes this whole thing difficult. You know what I'm saying? It makes it really difficult to do sometimes because, again, I know we're trying to not talk about what everyone thought we were going to be talking about tonight, but but when I'm looking at Clarence Thomas, I still have some questions surrounding the accusation before his induction. I've always wanted to know, and I'll never know. I won't know until I'm in the hereafter what actually happened there. I think this was in a time when
don't.
No, hold on for a second. You don't know what I'm going to say.
Okay, I have ideas, but if you say what I think you're about to say, go ahead.
This happened in a time where politics were still extremely dirty. Don't forget, we weren't that far removed from Ronald Reagan and Oliver North committing high treason, but it was still dirty politics. I believed her. I'm not gonna lie to you. I believed her, and this is before there was a social media campaign where, like, I think it's different than the Kavanaugh and the friggin' what's this poor Italian guy's name from New York State that now. I don't do that, because now most of those claims have been discredited and they're gonna have to roll that back. What's his name? Cuomo. Cuomo, right? Like,
yeah, let's talk about Cuomo. You know what? Let's not.
Well, all I'm gonna say is there's an ad. You don't live in New York State, but there's an ad campaign running now where he's kind of taking a victory lap. And like, if he decides to sue, that'd be more interesting, because. But that's another thing. It's like, but I believed her, but I didn't have access to the internet, and it wasn't like there were a bunch of people coming out just saying stuff before he was getting put in. It was this one woman standing up there saying that, I'm not saying that this happened, I'm not saying that that happened, I'm telling you that this happened.
Oh, I didn't know. That's not what I thought we were talking about.
What did you think I was going to
say? Nothing.
No, hey, jump out the window. Good time here. Chat's having a good time. What's going on? What did you think I was going to say?
I thought you were actually going to talk about some of his policies, or like the validation for some of his policies that he's given.
No, that's a private debate we'll have. I'll never feed the people that way. You and I will speak.
Okay.
Truth be told, he's a bit of an enigma to me as a Christian. There's some of the things that he said, if they're to be true publicly, I'm like, I don't know about that one, bro. But yeah, like, in that, let's gauge and judge his history. Here's something, right? Ruth, I can never pronounce her name right. What was Ruth Gator? It's like a Transformers name. Say her fucking name, DaVinci.
I can't. The Ginsburg lady.
Yes, that woman. She has skeletons in her closet, and I would always just attack her ideology. I could bring up the fact that she did do an interview where she'd said some complicated things about black people, but that's not going to serve my argument, because it only seems like I'm attacking out of like some type of tribalism. I just attack her policies. I attack her thoughts and the things that she says publicly. I have no smoke for that woman personally. She had a loving marriage. Anyone that's interacted with her said that she was an amazing woman to be around. She just, she's old. She says some racist shit one time. Otherwise than that, I'm just going to go after her policies. Make sense?
I thought you, when you first started that stream of consciousness, that you were about to be like, oh, it was a different time, and I was about to strangle you.
No. She says some racist shit. She says,
fucking strangle you. That is it was wrong back then and it's wrong now. And when people say that, it makes my butthole pucker. Like, I hate it. I hate it.
Racist shit, man. But I don't know, man. I think you can critique black people. I think if you're Mexican, you can critique other Mexicans. I think you don't have to be of that same race to critique the behaviors, right? You don't have to be of the same race. There's just a line you cannot cross when you start using slander, when you start using tropes that have been used in the past. Like, you can get into it. Like, as a point of fact, if I guess this goes for conservatives too, you cannot critique like the LGBTQ community if you're using the F-bomb. No one's going to take your argument serious. You have to go, well, these are the policies, these are the ideologies that that I disagree with. But if you just start getting out there saying effed up, fucked up shit about people, then that's just the hatred in your heart spilling out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And speaking to that, like, I in no way, shape, or form want to invalidate anybody's anger, anyone's sadness, anyone's frustration with the current situation that we're in. Because, like, one thing that really puckers my butthole is when I hear like Europeans talking about the situation in America.
Right.
Really puckers my butthole, because like it's fun to laugh about it, ha, and be like, stupid Americans, like, do you even know what's going on? Yes, bitch, we're living here.
Like, you mean Europeans, those scumbags. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Man, that really makes my butthole pucker because they'll be like, you don't have health care. At least I can go to school and not get shot up. Like, and it really puckers my butthole.
The audience is counting how many times you said butthole puckering.
Oh, it does, bro. Like,
oh, it's true. The Euros have nothing to. They got their own skeletons in their closet. So yes, true. We do have mass shootings in the school, and that's just something I don't understand how we're becoming apathetic to. But I didn't think we were going to become apathetic to 9/11. I was for sure that was going to be something that we. But never. I digress. But we have those. But let's talk about the treatment of Nigerians in Paris.
About to jump out the fucking window, I guess. Here we go.
Let's talk about the treatment of the Irish by the English. Let's talk about the English for a second. A country that had been dominated by Rome for a couple of centuries. Then, at the first opportunity after being freed, decided, well, let's do what they did. You know, it all goes full circle. Same thing happens in Africa. You know, I'll jump out the window there. You know, it's like, you know, what happened? What happened after the revolution? What did we do immediately after that? But that's beside the point.
I think I was making like
you were making
that I don't want to invalidate anybody's anger or sadness or frustration because I know that we can all get angry or sad or frustrated. I know that I definitely have been this week, and I've been practicing my potion mixing. Not for myself, but for other women. And said some like out of pocket shit, and then I had to go back and delete it and be like, you know what?
I saw that. You're talking about in your Discord, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Please, Steve. But I know that we get angry or sad or frustrated, and I don't want to invalidate anybody's feelings, like, because you can definitely feel those things. You can definitely be upset with the state of your country and everything like that. But like, I need us to get to a place where we don't cope with traumatic events with humor. And I know that some people only do that because that's the only way that they're getting through and everything like that. But like trivializing it or like making it like so it's a everyday ha type thing, so it can just roll off your shoulder. The next time it happens, it desensitizes you to when it does happen and the severity of it and what it means. Like I really do feel like that's what's happened with sexual harassment a lot of the time, or sexual assault. I feel like it's very trivialized because of the frequencies of the incidents where it occurs. Okay. Public Friend said memes are to blame. Damn, I don't know about that, my friend, because I do love a good meme, because you can compile like 7 years worth of internet into one picture. I think that's ingenious. But I know what types of memes you're talking about, and yeah, I might be able to get on that train. I got mixed feelings about memes.
Well, I mean, you make a good point, because even with what's going on, right, with the reversal of Roe v. Wade, I've seen some things on the internet where it's like, I would much rather have a conversation with someone, because if I'm just trying to be empathetic, and this might just be the clinician in me, where it's like, well, let me see what the pain is here. So I don't want to invalidate anyone's pain or anything like that. And I do agree with you in regards to sexual harassment.
Say that word again.
Harassment. Harassment just makes us sound like dumb Americans, man.
Like zebra and zebra.
Yeah, the Brits got that right, even if their teeth are disgusting. Those filthy...
and aluminium and aluminum.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you know what? I dated an English girl once, and I loved the way she talked until we got into an argument, and I would always accuse her of talking down to me. Well, you think you're better than me. And yes, Da Vinci, she was black before you ask.
I didn't ask. I'm not gonna do that anymore.
It's true. There's some things that we can become apathetic to, and that is, I could blame a lot of that on media, and I could blame it on the way that we talk to each other about this stuff. Man, we normalize it, and it's just something that shouldn't be normalized. I do want to ask you a question though.
Oh God,
in regards to this whole thing, right? In regard to the critique of black people.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Do you honestly believe that we can say in any way, shape, or form that our behaviors can't be critiqued by people outside of the community?
I knew you were going to hit me with this one at one point or another. Like, I was sitting in there after I told you what topic, and I was like, I know he's going to drop this fucking question, and let me be ready for it.
Did your butthole pucker up? And
yep, butthole puckered.
Go ahead.
Can't take it.
I'm having fun.
So with that, I think that it matters, like, the intention, and I definitely don't think that they should be the loudest voice when critiquing the African American community. Like, if this is a conversation that you're having with your Black friends, like, I need there to be copious amounts of research that's been done and all that kind of stuff like that, because insensitivity to Black people is what you learn in fucking school. So before you jump out the window and say some fuck shit, like, I need you to be
okay. Got you.
I need you to be very learned about the stuff that you're talking about. Like, I really don't want to hear, like, well, white girls can wear braids because it's just a hairstyle. Like, if I hear it, we're gonna fight. Like, I'm going to jail. Like, you're gonna have to bail me out, Steve.
I got bail money on deck. I keep it ready, mostly for Mantis, yourself, and Berlin, because I assume one of the three of you is going to be like, they finally caught up with me. I'm definitely waiting. I know the feds are on to you, so I'm waiting for that call any day now. Do you think they are? I agree with you.
I'll commit ritual seppuku before they catch me.
Jeez, you're talking about getting platform. Do you think that a certain emotional capital, like investment, should be made in, like, do you think that someone should have to build that relationship with the people before?
Absolutely, abso-fucking-lutely, because, like, all the hot takes just sound like veiled racism. At least most of the ones that I've heard. I don't think that I've ever heard a hot take from a white person in particular that, like, rang true without, like, understanding of all the nuances of our community and our trauma and everything like that. And, like, it's gonna take a lot, because, like, we grew up with it. Like, a lot of us grew up with it and we learned it or were exposed to it at some point in time. But like a lot of them, they're new to this. They're not true to this. And so they'll throw out these hot takes like, well, Black women wear our hair, so why can't we wear theirs? And I really don't. I'm going to jail next time I hear it. Like, that's all.
Well, to make that correction, it's not your hair; it's Indian and Brazilian. So let's make sure we get that straight. Okay, I can see it. I could dig that. I think what used to give me a pause in the past was when some of my white friends, and this is before I did a lot of work on myself in this regard, because I wanted to start hearing people. I wanted to hear what the hell they had to say, what they're trying to say. Was if it was one of my Irish friends, and they're like, well, bro, my people went through the same thing. Why can't I have an opinion on, your movement? And I'm like, you know what?
Because your people didn't go through the same thing.
Well, I mean, the Irish
chattel slavery was not the same as indentured servitude, and I don't want to hear anything else about it.
I'm not saying that it's the same, but they did go through some things, and I'm like, well, okay, I can see that. I think what becomes hard for me in the argument, it's not hard. Let me not lie. When we start talking about things like the murder rate and substance abuse in the community, and the image that we project. I don't know if you watched this episode of Conversations, but I had a dude on from a show called Before the Billions, and his channel is primarily about helping Black men improve their image. And it was a great conversation. And when he says image, he doesn't just mean like the way they dress, like their actual social media presence, the way they're presented, how they're perceived, and the way to carry themselves in America. And I do think that some of the critiques are hard to ward off when we give out so much ammunition. Your thoughts?
Maybe give me an example.
All right. And I'm guilty of this, man. I used to love, I still do. I can't help it. I listen to it and I'm just like, let's take an album like Get Rich or Die Trying. One of my favorite verses on there is probably one of the worst verses that anyone should listen to. He says, "My heart bleeds for you, N-word. I can't wait to get to you. Behind a twinkle in your eye, I can see the bitch in you. And you know these streets talk, so there'll be no white flags and no peace talk. I got my back against the wind. I'm ready to ride until the sun burn out. If I die today, I'm happy how my life turned out. See, the shootouts I done been in by myself. Got locked up in the cage. I was by myself. And now shit done changed. I can hire some help." He goes on later to say, "Your mammy, your pappy, that B word, that bitch you chasing, your dirty ass kids, I'll fucking erase them." And it's this type of thing when we celebrate. And I mean, I used to go hard for 50. I love that dude, man. I respect his business acumen, and I respected his gangster. But it's that type of stuff, man, where it's like, yo, that shit, what he said and what he actually is, not like the rest of these fuck boys. Like, this man is certified in it. Why do I praise him for that level of dysfunction and brutality?
So I'm a little confused. Are you against the way, or was this person making the point against the way that like people praised
like gangster rap, gangster movies in the culture? You know what I'm saying? Like, some of that stuff actually reflects things that are going on in the neighborhood, and it's glorified, and it makes it hard for me to defend the community if it's like, well, why are these things glorified? How can you say that this is not allowed to be talked about if it's a part of popular zeitgeist? You get me?
Mm-hmm. So my thing with that is like, I definitely do agree. Like it shouldn't be praised, but I do think that it should be acknowledged. And I think that like the two are sometimes confused, with people acknowledging and recognizing and appreciating versus like praising it, or like would condone it if it happened in their streets, you know? Like,
Right.
because I think that the two things are completely different. Like with me and Kanye, bro, like I grew up with that fucking man. Like, and like it wasn't that like I praised anything that he was talking about. And like his earlier stuff, it was some good stuff, I'm not gonna lie. But it was just Graduation.
Yeah.
Like, loved the Graduation album. I was like, it was very inspiring. Like it made you feel something that you ain't never felt before. Like I didn't condone some of that shit, and I think that people like confuse appreciation with praise sometimes.
Okay.
And like because like I want you to look at the rest of American society. Do we have the same arguments against any other group of people, even though like mafia culture was like
That's a good
really
point.
big?
That's a good point.
You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
like, they praise the exploits of fraternities. There's like whole movies about them. It's like a whole thing and everything like that. But it's only something to be pointed out when like Black people do it, or
No,
it's only.
it's a good point.
You know what I mean? So
It's a good point. I mean, hell, you watch the Scorsese film, right? But I
Right.
feel as if though well, no, that's not true. I've heard some Italian Americans say that's not all of us. That's because we forget. I think we forget sometimes when the mob was like really running rampant in America, that under their thumb, immediately in their proximity, were the Italian families that lived there, like in places like Bensonhurst and Sheepshead Bay. But you think that everyone was in on the take, but they were strong arming a lot of the people that lived in their community. Not everyone was welcome to the table there. Same thing with some of the stuff that our Latino and Hispanic friends deal with in regards to
Right.
being
And
MS-13.
so how is that different from Black communities?
Well, it's not different, but when we narrow the scope to the conversation, it's like, then obviously if I can speak on that, they can speak on this. And that's the thing where I think it hits too hard for some Black people, where it's like, yo, you're a racist. I'm like, no, my man, just answer the question. Do what you just did right there. Like, yeah, that shit is problematic, and I don't stand for. You've spoken up about the chauvinistic behavior in hip hop before, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can't deny it. But I think if you just acknowledge the point that's being made, then it doesn't have to disintegrate into this conversation and you immediately assign racism to it. There's
Like,
some go for it.
let's not forget how a lot of these arguments are presented, though, because
Yeah.
truly, if it came to me the way that you were just saying it to me, with like all respect and expectation of a conversation about the issue, then like I think that Black people would be open to it. Like, but that's not how those conversations come to me. They'll be like, why are you people so violent? Like, you're responsible for 90 something percent of the crime in America. Or like, well, look at how you praise rap music. Like, your communities are so violent. Or look at how ghetto your women are. Like, they wear different color hair and extensions, and like, look at this and look at that and look at this and look at that. And and then they're like, but bro, I just wanted to have a conversation, bro. Like,
Right.
you're being really ignorant right now, bro. Like, no, that's how those conversations come to you. And if they came to me the way that you just told me the things that you told me, it would be digestible. It would be easy to have a conversation. But like, I'm hit, I'm a holler. Like, we're gonna tussle a little bit because you just tried to come for me in a way that's supposed to be like intellectual conversation, or it's under the guise of intellectual conversation. But that's not that shit. You're dog whistling me, bro. And I see it.
I get you. I one of the things that I learned to do was I have some friends that I've had some intense conversations with, and they are not Black. And I think that I probably approached them the same way you approached me, which is like, I have to understand, I have to listen first, right? To understand what it is the hell they're trying to say, and then kind of work through it. Another thing that I think that, and you make a good point. You make a good point. It's like, are you coming to the table with a genuine conversation and genuine questions, or is this a kind of like gotcha moment? What's the point of the question? And I guess that would be a good question to ask to start with. Like, hey, why are we even having this conversation? Like,
right.
what do you hope to gain? Are you trying to gain understanding? Because one response I don't like, and I think it's lazy, is to say, go do your own research. It's not my job to educate you. But I treat it as a moment of, it is my role. Like, I don't, I'm not the king of Black people. I think that I am. And I think that if Black people were to put me in charge, they would see a much better result. But I treat every interaction as if someone asked me that, I'm like, sure, man, let's get it. I can't tell you how many people I've had to educate and say, hey, hip hop culture is not Black culture. It is a subculture. It is a byproduct of our culture, right? It's our actual culture. And this is where Mantis wanted me to jump out before, in regards to the fundamental Black Americans and a lot of groups who I'm not going to name because I don't want to offend anyone. I think there is a thing that happens where people think that I'm anti-Black, when it's like, no, I'm actually pro-Black. I'm just proud to be a descendant of slaves. I have no issue with that. I am proud of our true culture, a culture of survival and a culture of endurance, a culture that has helped build this country. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of what Black people were able to do and what the elders did with the civil rights movement. It didn't just benefit Black people. The civil rights movement, the sweat and blood and tears of those Black people helped all people of color in this country. And I am proud of that. I'm proud of the altruism that comes out of our community. I love the grandmother culture in Black community. You know exactly. I don't call it the big mama culture. That's some bullshit. I love the grandmother culture. I love that singular older black woman that used to exist in the community that fed all the
called you
children.
baby.
Like, yeah,
And she'll
fed
say it
all
just like that.
yeah, that fed all the children in the community. I love that. I love that. I love that vestige that came from Africa and made its way through the South, where that one woman would find that she is responsible for every child. Even if, they have parents, but the parents are off working. Yeah, I think if you're old enough, some of us might remember you were being dropped off at someone's house and you thought you were related to this person. You're not related to her, but she was the woman. She was the woman that your mother trusted with you. In my instance, it was my godmother, my aunt Baby Doll, and my other godmother, my aunt Cynthia. One woman was from Belize, the other woman was from the Deep South, and they did that for the entire building I live in. I'm proud of that. What the behaviors I see with a lot of our brothers and sisters, they want to move away from that. They want to be anything but the descendant of a slave. So whenever someone comes to me and they have questions about Black culture, I'm like, yeah, let's get it. But I always ask them, I'm like, what's the point? What is it you want to know exactly, and why do you want to know it? I'm glad to share with you, but is this a real conversation, or are we about to have a debate?
Right.
If we're gonna have a debate, I could do that too. But I want to know what the fuck it is we're debating. You know what I'm saying? Because I'll concede the point. Violence within the community is a problem. It is a real problem. And I would see that problem abolished. I would see it abolished from within inside, the internal threats and the external threats we face. Make sense?
Right. Absolutely. And like another thing with what you were saying, because you brought up doing the intellectual labor for somebody in a conversation, and how like you think that that's a lazy response. I use that response frequently. I will not do the emotional labor for somebody who's not genuinely invested in actually knowing what my take is. Like that nigga Craig that I told you about. I didn't mean to name drop him like that. You can edit that out, right?
Okay, yeah.
But
I'll find it.
That nigga Schmeg. Like I don't know if you read any of the screenshots or how he talked. Like he was this open-minded individual and everything like that. And so I was like, okay, boom, you don't understand feminism. I am the feminist.
Right.
Hot girl feminist. Like that's me, bitch. And so like I was unpacking lots of things because I thought that he didn't understand. But the second that like I realized that like this nigga doesn't actually want to know about what I think about feminism. He doesn't actually want to know my theories. Like he just wants to fight with me because at the end of the conversation, he wants me to be like, you are the intellectual superior in the situation. I am sorry, Big Daddy. Like that's what he wanted.
I seen the picture. There's no way that could happen. That man, I gotta admit, I gotta tell you something. When you got off the call, I had smoke for that guy. I made a lot of jokes, and I'm like, look at this dude with the sunglasses over the third eye. This guy's a weirdo. He probably plays Pokemon with cards.
I liked the fucking glasses. I bought a pair in red.
Not the third eye thing. I get what you're saying in regards to him just wanting to essentially tame you, but I mean, and there's no excuse for it, but that is what's going to happen when you are the type of person that stands your ground. And unfortunately, it seems to happen more with women. I've seen this happen with Christian women a lot too, and atheist men. Like atheist men want to debate a Christian woman so they can get her to just go, "You right, daddy."
Period. And that's it. That's fucking all. Like that's all they want from you. I don't want to say they, like I'm generalizing. I'm sure all men don't want that from a conversation with me. But that's all that particular man wanted from a conversation with me. And once I realized that he wasn't genuinely interested in hearing my theories, then I was just like, I'm not going to do the emotional labor for you. You do it yourself. If you genuinely want to know about, I will point you in the direction to look, where to start, where I started, but I'm not going to do the emotional labor for you. I'm truly not.
Well, yeah, and I don't expect you to do the emotional labor. Again, my path is the path that I chose because I think it's therapeutic for me and it brings me a lot of peace. And because I'm the type of person, and I just got to admit this, man, like I want to be consistent. I know someday someone's going to do a Steve Exposed video on YouTube, and I just want them to have all the ammunition. I have failed my people in so many social situations, and I lose sleep over it. There are times where I should have punched people in their mouth. There are times where I should have like stood up harder, pressed the point firmer, and I wasn't there yet. I didn't really get to a place like that until I was in my 30s. You know, after I'd done some healing, and now it's just like I don't tolerate the bullshit. But in regards to like the critique, I'm open to critiques of people, but as we've of Black people, but to kind of land this thing, if this is just about you wanting to prove that you're right and not, because after you make all these valid points, my question will always be, well, okay, hey man, what do you want to do next? You want to go volunteer? Do you want to what do you want to do? You made some valid points. Let's get to work here. And if it's just like there's no action behind it, then I'll never have a conversation with that person again.
Period.
And that actually, you know, that goes for the topic that was not talked about tonight. You know, I have said this in the past to Christians. I'm like, listen, if you're not going to step in the gap, then you shouldn't speak on it, because what you're doing is less than genuine. You don't have any real attachment to the conversation. You just want to talk to hear yourself talk. You want to be right. You want to sound altruistic, and that's not cool. But there was one comment that a content creator made that you know, this might be the one that made me really give pause, and this is from a Black man, and he said that Black culture is trash, and he said that on a panel, and it was nothing but Black people, and I had to like stop the video, you know what I'm saying, and like come back to it the next day to try to figure out what the hell it was he was trying to say, and he was actually referring to like the dysfunction. So not the way I would say that. I didn't think it was useful. I didn't think it was a useful critique. And that's something that like I want to be wary of myself. I want to make sure that my critiques are always useful. And that's why, like, from this point forward, you know, when we go to the arena, which is Dope Dynamics, any critique I have, I want to make sure I'm on, you know, really step in the gap and just highlight my love of my people. And that's where the frustration comes from sometimes. So I'm just going to say
that's really big of you, Steve.
Oh, no, I didn't say, no, I want to be clear. I didn't say I was going to stop. I just said that I was going to make sure that people know that I'm not here to get views off of dissing Black people, but I want to share the love, but I also want to critique the behavior. And so people know that this is coming from a place where, hey, you know, where you want me to donate, where you want me to spend my time at, type of shit.
I heard you the first time, and that's real big of you, Steve.
I know. I just wanted to hear you say that again. All right, let's get the hell out of here. We're at 1:52:47. This way I'm not tempted to drop any bombs. Listen, folks.
Please. Oh my God.
I know that some might have thought that this was going to be a different type of show. I think we're pretty in tune with each other. Not the time to talk about it yet. And that's more so for me. I just want to be respectful and understand the other side of the table. And so that's my decision. Didn't want to go there tonight, but I thank everyone for coming out. And the links are in the description. It's been a hard week. Let's get the fuck out of it before I get emotional. I love y'all. Thank you for coming through. Thank you for all the support. And you got anything, DaVinci?
Stock up on papaya seeds, ladies.
There you fucking go. Okay, I'll let you have that one because I've done that shit to you. But another episode of Dope Dynamics. We don't have. I'm sorry. I guess we can agree on that. Come back for Dope Dynamics and all the other shows amongst the group. And peace.